Hello and welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life Show. I'm your host, Angela Marie Williams. As an entrepreneur and success coach, my mission is to empower you to realize your dreams and potential through transformational experiences. The purpose of this show is to inspire your positive change by learning from a community of those paving the way to a bigger, braver life. Welcome to the Bigger, Braver Life Show. My name is Angela Williams. I am a licensed clinical social worker and your success coach. So happy to have you here. Today, I welcome a wonderful friend and guest. Her name is Jana Corrine. And Jana, welcome to the show.
Hi, Angela. Thank you guys for having me. So happy to be here.
Share with all of us what you do and what your work is in this world.
Yes. So I am a confidence coach for women entrepreneurs, and most of my clients are service-based entrepreneurs. They're on the more spiritual side. So the work they do is coaching or healing. I've got some Reiki masters in my group and healers and psychics and all those wonderful people. My job is really helping them gain the confidence in themselves to be able to grow their audience, to get their message out there, allow themselves to be seen on a bigger scale in the online space, and then ultimately put out the offers to draw in their soulmate clients and create the income and the impact that they want. So that's in a nutshell what I do. And my personal journey is kind of, probably the more traditional route, like you too as well, Angela. We went through, the college, like the traditional route, right? And we got the degrees, and we worked in the corporate 9 to 5, right? In that kind of space. Somewhere along the line, I always knew that I was an entrepreneur, and I always wanted to be actually a psychologist and a therapist. That's really how it started. But my parents told me I was too sensitive for that. And so I know you can relate from your work, right? Being a counselor and just being in the energy of people all day long, back and forth, exchanging energy and helping people with their problems, right? Sometimes it can be a little bit heavy because you're so, into your client's success, right? So I know you know this. And I didn't go that route, got into the business world, got into marketing, and was sitting at my cubicle one day, staring out the window going, this is it. Like, this is it. This is what I would look at the executive women in my company. I worked for a big brand name at the time. It was a wonderful company, global company. And I just looked at the women walking around the executive, offices and things, and they all just looked tired, Angela, exhausted. Not to be mean, most of them were divorced and never saw their children because they were working all the time, chugging Diet Cokes, going out for smoke breaks, they just looked tired and miserable, right? And I just remember looking at them sitting from my desk and going, I don't want that. I was in my 20s at the time. I'm like, I don't want to live that life. So I started researching and learning. I started with self-help and all the things. And at the time I was going through a crazy relationship. I was being abused in a relationship at the time. So it all kind of came together at once, right? So I dove into self-help and I picked up books and classes, and I learned everything I could about marketing, entrepreneurship, law of attraction, mindset work, all the things, the psychology, all the things. And then I was in a marketing course because I had started my own business as a social media manager and was taking on clients. And that was kind of my first dip into entrepreneurship, working for myself, right? That was my escape plan, if you will.
Yeah.
And escape from the crazy boyfriend and the job, right? And came across this marketing course. In the course was a life coach. And I didn't even know what coaching was at the time, right? I knew what therapy was. I knew what counseling was. I had no idea what coaching was. It was different. And so I had a session with Lisa. She's a coach out of Toronto, a wonderful coach. And at the end of the session, I was blown away. And I said, Lisa, what you did for me today, I want to be able to do for other people. How do you do this? Right. And that was my introduction into coaching. And it was really the universe putting me back on my path, right? From what I wanted to do as a little girl. It was just kind of different, right? It had a different label to it. It was a little different than therapy, right? So it all comes full circle. You're always being guided. You're always being led. And it's no coincidence that you're here. You were called to this episode. You were led to this episode for this information as well. And so that's how I started. And then I started coaching people one-on-one and loved it, right? As a life coach. And then as I got through so many sessions and working with women, I really felt called to work with entrepreneurs, and I have my marketing background, so that it just all came together really nicely. And something I noticed, commonality among women, is that women in general are taught to play small and be more meek and agreeable and be a people pleaser, just in general, right? Forget about business for a second.
Right.
And right, yes, and you know this through your work as well. A lot of self-esteem issues, a lot of low, self-worth issues. The confidence isn't there like typically like men are taught to, right? And so for me, no matter what I was helping them with, it was a confidence issue, right? And like that's what it boiled down to. And so as I got further along in my coaching business, it just kind of came together. It was like, I'm a confidence coach for entrepreneurs, and that's how it happened. So that's how I got here. And I just saw 1111 on the screen. So here we are. So in a nutshell, long-winded answer, that's me and how I got here.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I love when people share their journeys, because we get to see where you started from and, kind of your journey, where you ended up. So what do you think it was for you that inspired you to change your life? So I know you said you were looking around you and you were, thinking to yourself, like, I don't want to end up like this. So what did you want? Like, tell us more about, because, for me, I agree with you. Like, there's always that confidence piece. There's mindset blocks, when we're coaching our folks. And for me too, a thing that I love to focus on is the vision, because we have to know what we want and where we're going and get very clear about that in order to make that decision. And sometimes it's, we know we just have to get away from something that's terrible. But tell me more about what exactly it was that you were able to see for yourself and your future and your success. I mean, how did you break away from this norm, right? Because it's normal to get a job and go there. And it's, some people don't see an issue with all the things you described, or aren't aware of that, or how impactful that is. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes. So two things. So just from a practical standpoint, like you said, in the beginning, it feels like you're escaping something, right?
Right.
From a practical standpoint, I just wanted freedom. I wanted the laptop lifestyle. I wanted to travel. I wanted to set my own hours. I wanted to make my own money. I wanted to price myself, right? I didn't want to accept a salary from someone who's like, okay, this is what we're paying, right? So just from practical, that's what I wanted, right? That freedom to kind of choose to do what I wanted, make my own money, travel as I wanted. My bigger vision piece really was creating this movement where women could be independent, empowered, do the work that they actually loved doing and were good at and talented at, rather than settle for, well, this is the only job I have. This is the only guy that's available in my neighborhood. This is just kind of settling in life in general. I know that sounds kind of vague, but I don't know. For me, I went through so much and came up from so much that it just dawned on me that whatever your reality is and whatever you're settling for is because you chose to settle for it, right? Mm-hmm. And the only people that you think are holding your back are there because you allowed them to, right? So for me, it was this bigger vision of, oh my God, I have woken up, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And all of these people around me are still sleeping, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I need to help them wake up too. Like someone helped me wake up and helped me recognize my power to change and create and design my life, right? And my business and everything that I wanted. And I felt like I had been sleeping for a while. And so for me, it became like, okay, how can I help other people wake up? Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And that's what kind of drives me, like in when I'm on social media or online or speaking somewhere, or whatever. Yes, it's cool to own your own business. Yes, it's cool, to do all these things and create things. But beyond that, it's just watching people like kind of have those aha moments where they wake up and they're like, I can change this, right? Like, it doesn't have to be this way. I can actually have what I want, right? I can actually do what I love and make the money that I want. I can actually travel. I can actually have the freedom, all the things that they want. And it's just nice to see that. It's just nice. When people help you, it's nice to pass that along and help them too, if that makes sense. So that was my bigger vision for that. It was the practical piece of escaping the 9 to 5 and having the freedom. And then it was the bigger vision piece of helping people kind of wake up and kind of get in the driver's seat of creating their own life.
Yes, beautiful. And for those who are listening, I really want you to think about the areas that you are maybe asleep in your life. So I think this is one of those pieces where we can get complacent and we can go with the flow or feel like things just happen to us. I don't know how many times I've heard that, if I had $1, right, for a time, but I want you just to sit and reflect and hopefully have your own aha moment right now of where you are feeling like you have fallen asleep or you do not have control, and ask yourself, what would I need to change? What do I need to think? What do I need to do to wake up? That's a beautiful way to put it, Jana, truly. And I love Jana's work. I've been following Jana's work. We actually knew each other way back in the day, 7th, 8th grade.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Basketball?
Yeah. Isn't that nuts? How this all circles around?
It all circles around. Yes. And just loving so much her messaging. And we share, I believe, we truly share the same vision, and that is to raise the female collective and really impact generational growth with knowledge and empowerment and the ability to give clarity to people who are lost, confused, taking a little nap, right? And know that they have the ability to create this life that they want, that they feel aligned with, right? So thank you for sharing that, Jana. I love all of that. So tell me, how do you define success? Because you talk about, you're a business owner and you've navigated, multiple different, work environments and different things throughout your life. But how do you now define success?
I define success. To me, it means waking up every morning and doing what I want to do. That is complete freedom to me. For so long, even when I started out my business, I would do things that I necessarily didn't want to do. I would, people would ask me to sign up for stuff, or I'd take on a client I didn't really want to work with because I needed the money, or I don't know. I did things in my business that I didn't want to do, but I thought that's the way you had to do it in order to be successful, right? Because someone told me I had to do it. Just things like that. Or people would call me for advice and I'd be on the phone for an hour with them, right? And then I'd get done and my hour was gone, right? So for me, success now is doing the things I want to do. So that means setting really strong boundaries, really valuing my time and my energy, creating things that I feel passionate about and that I love and I'm enthusiastic about, courses, offers, right? Programs, things like that, books, etc. Scheduling clients when I want to meet with them, right? Saying yes to speaking engagements that I want to do and saying no to ones that I don't feel are aligned to me, right? So for me, it's the freedom of choice. And it's literally, I try my very hardest, probably 99% of the time, to not do anything that I don't want to, that I don't feel excited about and passionate about. And for me, that's been everything from, I don't know, going to this gym to working with this client to eating this meal, like everything in my life, to saying yes to this invitation to this party, everything. I run it through my filter first. I'm like, do you actually want to do this? Does this feel fun and exciting to you? Or is this just something that's meh? Or is it something that's going to waste your time, or something that you feel like, is a people pleaser thing, right? And so when I made that shift to doing that, I felt like so much more in control of my time and my energy and my life. I didn't feel like a slave to anyone else or any one thing. And it's been a game changer for me. And I will tell you, like, I'm not like exaggerating when I say this. I am the happiest I've ever been in my life right now. Like literally today on my walk, I felt so good. And I was like, this is great. You're just like, yes, like I love this. I love this life that I've created. So that is success to me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing all those points. And I want to touch on a couple of those because I think what you're saying is so important. And again, one of those, if I had $1 for every time I've heard this of, oh, I have to do this thing because I don't want to do it, but I don't want to do it. Or, oh, I have to, or I'll feel bad, or I feel guilty, or we're doing so many things, especially as women, out of obligation, out of this negative driving force, this like, there's going to be some sort of horrible consequence if we choose ourselves and our peace of mind and all those things. That's another piece that I love that you highlighted. I run it through my filter. And, you know, I kind of talk about this with my clients in the form of intuitive leadership. It's like checking in with yourself first. It's almost like you get your own permission to do this thing and you check to see how it feels. If it feels aligned, awesome. If it doesn't, no. And that takes a while to get to. And I think sometimes we talk about getting to a place, but we don't talk about like how much work we've had to do to get to that place. Cause it's really hardwired in our brain. I think, especially as women, that we have to, like you said, feel like we have to do things and that obligation and all of that. And we can't say what we want and all of that. So for folks listening, I want you to start to turn on your filter with every decision that you make. And this is how Jana's able to live her true alignment, right? This is how we get to that place of feeling that pure bliss. And I love that so much. The other piece that you've hit on, but not said maybe specifically, is your values, prioritizing what you value. I value the same thing, the freedom to choose what I do with my time and how much I can earn and all those different things. And let me tell y'all, for those listening, because I talk about this all the time with clients, is, or people who are thinking about starting a business or leaving the 9 to 5, but they're really nervous and they're held back. I think it only took me, I should have had this fact ready, but I think it only took me 1 year to make more than what I brought home, in that other job. So I want to give you hope, right? That can happen and you can make the money and do the things. And because you get so many more options of how you're going to do that and when, and it gives you more energy to produce the greatness that is what, you're called to do. So thank you for touching on those. I think those are such good points. And sometimes we can, get caught up in what success might mean outwardly, but I'm with you. It's that internal feeling.
I absolutely agree with that, because I know some people who they're making, 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, but they're a slave. They're just, there's no enjoyment. There's no freedom. And it's like, then what's the point? The whole point of having money is so you can enjoy it with other people that you love, right?
Exactly.
Like what is the point really? So I totally agree with that. And you were saying people can, when they start their own business, you can get there faster than you think. There was one of my clients who please don't get to this point. People, please don't get to this point. But she stayed at the job so long, she actually had a physical ailment that caused her to go to the hospital. Like the pressure got that hard, and the stress came out. And so I'm sure you have, in your line of work. And she quit. She said no more, and then stumbled for a couple, like 2 or 3 months, and then we connected. And then that next month, she hit $5,000. And she replaced her income, and then it was off to the races, right? Yeah. Because here's the thing I want to share with everyone. Angela, you know this. You have so much knowledge and expertise and skill set that you've learned over the years in every job you've ever had, every relation, everything. Plus you have some natural talents that you're just, there's some things that you just can't teach, right? You just can't teach them. And everyone has this raw natural talent about them. You combine that with the skill sets you already have and the knowledge you already have, and you are pretty freaking powerful. People have trouble translating that into a business sometimes. They're like, I can do this in a job, but how would I sell this as a business? It's so much easier than you think it is, right? They just get hung up on that part. So then they don't go for it.
I think it's because you're too close to it, right? When you know all this stuff and you're living it, it's hard to communicate it because you're so close to it. And this is where hiring a coach can help you really articulate and get clear about what that is.
Yes, absolutely. And like, that's not to sell you,
Right.
but it's true. It's so true.
Yeah.
Like after I hired my business coach, it was like, duh, I
Yeah.
can do this.
Same.
Yes. Because you have to we're so biased. We're so in our heads, we're so clouded by that personal bias. We don't see ourselves clearly sometimes. And so sometimes it takes that third party, that trained person, that coach to come in and kind of pick apart the pieces and rearrange things for you and to kind of refocus you so you can see what is so easily laid out before you. And so, yes, to your point, you would be so surprised at how quickly you can start a business and be successful with all that you already know. And here's the thing, you don't have to have everything figured out right away. You learn as you go. Right. And that's where the confidence piece comes in. Confidence is built through repetition. You just have to have courage in the beginning. You just have to be brave in the beginning. Right.
Exactly. Right. Right. Those two pieces, along with having your vision, it's being able to then get the courage to actually do the dang thing, show up, and that confidence to continue, as you continue and continue, you become that confident version of yourself as you continue to do these things and show up. I love that. Can you tell us about a client transformation that you had that you're feeling called maybe to share with folks listening that might be super helpful, inspiring?
Mm-hmm. Yes. There's a lot, but let me go with the therapist one, because this world, and we were just talking about leaving the 9 to 5. So this will fit well. There was a client who she was super smart, super educated, really good at what she did, probably too good for the job.
Yeah.
And they were piling it on her. I mean, I probably think she worked about 60 hours a week. And her caseload got so much where it was just her personal health was really being affected. And I really don't think she was making the amount of money that she deserved, really. And she was worth so much more than that. She went to the hospital and she quit immediately. And when I first met her, I sat across the table from her. You look at people's body language. She was just scared and nervous and meek and apologetic about things and like hiding, right? And I remember she was afraid to go to public speaking events and networking events. She would drive there and like have a headache magically. When we get really stressed, we don't want to do something. Yes, we'll make the physical ailment. So that's our body telling us, oh yeah. So she would leave. She wouldn't even walk in the door. And when she did go to them, she was so afraid that someone was going to question her, ask her a question that she couldn't answer. Right. She was definitely afraid of alpha females. She had this vision about alpha females, I'm just like, I don't know what it was, but she was afraid to be wrong. She was afraid to be put on the spot. She was afraid to tell people who she was and what she did, right? Coming out as an entrepreneur, as owning her own business, right? As being her own personal brand. Because for so long she had been an employee. And when you make that transition, it's not just, oh, I'm open for business. There's so many mindset issues and energetic issues, that have to kind of change. It's like you're out on your own and here you are, you're putting yourself out to the world. And by the time we got done, a month went by. She was going to networking events. She was handing out business cards. She was talking to people. She was telling them what she did. She even wore, some really cute new outfits. It was just the whole transformation. Yeah. I remember sitting across from her in our sessions as the weeks went by, and her whole body language just changed. And she was very assertive. She even kind of gave me a little bit of pushback in our session, joking around a little bit. And I was like, I like this. I like this. Her personality was coming through. Yeah. All we did was turn up the dial on it a little bit. You could just feel the power, the confidence was there, the certainty was there. Even though stuff would go wrong, let's say her billing, with insurance something would go wrong there, her computer would crash, whatever. She'd be like, oh, I'm so frustrated, but she would just bust through it and get over it and, find a solution. There was such a difference there, the meekness and the shyness and the uncertainty versus this confident, powerful woman who knew exactly who she was, who knew exactly who she wanted to work with. She got rid of a lot of old clients. She actually dropped the insurance thing, went to private pay, tripled her prices, fully booked, hired an assistant, hired a bookkeeper, had 2 other ladies working underneath her, tripled her office size, all the things, like just blew up within 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
The only difference, Angela, yes, there was some marketing things, sure, okay. But really the big difference was that her confidence level was like through the roof.
Yep.
We just turned up the dial on her certainty and her confidence in herself. And it came first with the courage, with going to the event and being scared and handing out her business card and talking and answering the questions anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now she gets up at these events and she speaks on a stage. She would have never done that before. I'll tell you a really cool story. She was at a table, actually, at one of these banquets, and one of her old bosses was there. And they asked her if they could give her some referrals. And she was like, yes, here's my card. So it was like a very much like a, it was kind of cool.
It was the Julia Roberts going back into the shop moment.
Yes, it was. It was the big, yes, it totally was. And we laughed about that for a couple sessions, but it's just so cool how you can see someone it's courage in the beginning. It's doing the steps, it's stretching. And then the confidence is built over time, and the confidence will up level at each stage, right? Each month, your confidence gets higher and higher. And the faster you do these things, the faster you stretch outside of your comfort zone, the more things you do, the faster your confidence grows. It's really up to you how fast paced you want to go. Right. So that was a cool little story. That's one of the best client success stories from like that 9 to 5, that transition between the 9 to 5 and coming and like blowing up and replacing the corporate income and working with the clients you want to work with, setting your own hours, doing all the things you want to do. It was just total freedom and just an awesome story. So I'm glad to share that with you guys.
Amazing. Great work. And, to your client too. I mean, obviously the clients got to do the work, but
yes,
you got to lead, right? That work. But I want to talk about something actually that just popped in my mind. I had a client and she was like, I think that I appear confident on the outside. Actually, I've had a couple people say this in the same 2-week span. So here it is. I think I appear confident on the outside, but in the inside, I am a nervous wreck or, insert thing here, doubting myself, scared, all of that. And it got me to thinking and reflecting. And I want to hear your thoughts on this too. But I feel like I had the same journey and a really similar journey to that client that you had, but where there were times, growing up, I don't know that confidence. I would say I was confident presenting, but definitely as I grew into that, definitely. But even I can even notice since starting this podcast, since showing up every day, like the confidence it feels like it's continuing to build. Would you say that's similar of your journey as well?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. In the beginning, it's like, just do it. Yeah. Really, especially in the beginning. Yes. If you are overanalyzing it, there's some things you cannot mindset your way out of. Like no matter, whenever I have clients who can journal and they can mindset their way out of it, right? And shift. There's some people that just can't. They're just so much in their own heads. I was very much like that. I'm super analytical. I very much overanalyze. And I think that, so for me, yes, I journal, but a lot of the things for me was just do it. Just do it. Just leap and go and just go. Mm-hmm. And it will all come together organically for you. So if you're that type of person and you just have to do it, then just do it. Just freaking do it. Yeah. Here's the worst thing that can happen to you. If you jump on a Facebook Live and you bomb it, delete the video. That's what I tell people. Just delete it and it's over.
Delete.
Bam. Done. Right? Right. If you post something and you're like, oh my God, that sucks, and it's bothering you, just delete it and start it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't want you to be perfectionist, but
right.
Yeah.
You can change it, right? You can learn from something, you can grow from something, you can change it, you can do whatever you need to do with it. 100%.
You will learn more from doing than sitting there and reading another self-help book and taking your 100th class. You will learn so much more from implementing and doing. You will learn more about yourself as you grow in your entrepreneurship and you do the podcast and you do the book and you get up on stage in front of 200 people and speak in an auditorium or whatever. You will learn more about yourself and all of your insecurities will bubble to the surface.
Yes.
like nothing else.
Right.
And it's great because then they come to the surface and you can see them and be aware of them and recognize them and shift them rather than let them lay in your subconscious and play out in repeated patterns in the background.
Expanding on your self-care, because I think what you were saying earlier is you living in alignment is your best form of self-care, if I may. But you tell me what, expand on that for us. How do you bring that balance and self-care into your life on a daily basis?
So I think a lot of people think of self-care as like spa days and bubble baths.
Which is
and yes, that is totally part of it. Absolutely. And, I do all those things, but to me, the biggest like bang for my buck in terms of self-care has been me really enjoying what I do. And that goes back to that piece of the boundaries and the people pleasing, right? For me, self-care has been saying no to a lot of things and a lot of people and places and things that I don't actually enjoy, if I'm being honest, and are a waste of my time. I know it sounds harsh, but literally that's self-care to me, honoring yourself and doing what you want to do and working with the people you want to work with and really honoring your time and your energy, your investments. To me, that sends a message to me or to you, that says like, I care about how I feel. I get to have what I want. I'm important. My wants are important. My desires are important. My needs are important. And no one else gets to determine that for me. That is the biggest form of self-care for me.
Yes, beautifully said. I'm worth it and I'm showing up for myself. Tell us how folks can reach out and work with you.
Yeah. So I really have all the which ways that people can work with me. I have a free Facebook group called The Confident You. I do a weekly video series in there, and I also do random Facebook Lives whenever I feel like it. Again, going back to that piece, whenever you feel like it. I have self-study courses. I have group programs. I have books and journals. And then, of course, I have my one-on-one coaching with me. So I have all the things. Typically, people come into my world at different times. Some people will come in, they'll hang out in my group for a while, and then they're ready to work with me one-on-one. Some people will come in, they'll join a class, they'll roll up to another class, a program, right? And then they'll work one-on-one. So I've got all the things for all the people at different levels. And that's just something from a marketing standpoint, it's smart, right? People can get to know you a little bit before they decide they want to work with you, just from a practical standpoint as a business owner. But two, I know that when I was early on in my journey of like self-help and coaching, I couldn't afford one-on-one coaching with some coaches that I wanted to work with, right? Mm-hmm. I was priced out of it. It was just plain and simple. But I was able to get their free content and soak it up and gain some momentum and build some wins. Or I was able to get into one of their classes, their programs, and again, learn what I needed to learn to build that momentum in my business and my lifestyle, and then move up to one-on-one coaching, right? And I so appreciated that it was available to me. And so that's why I offer all of those things to people too, because people are at different levels of their journey, right? And so back to that bigger vision piece, I want my work to reach all the people, right? Yeah. So those are the options.
Check out Jana's website. She's got so many amazing things there. It's beautiful and so many options that are so full of value for everybody. So thank you so much for folks who are listening and want to pursue their confident version of you, their bigger, braver life. What advice would you give them?
Everybody has to start somewhere. Yeah. The point is that you start. So start from where you're at right now. Instead of looking at other people saying, well, she's got this, he's got that, all the bells and whistles and all the things, that's okay. Those people that you put on a pedestal were once standing where you were, right? Yep. Yep. So start where you are, start today. Literally don't waste another freaking day of your life not going after what you want.
Right.
Life is short, right? Time is what we have here. So just start where you are today and build the momentum. You will get farther along being consistent with action every single day than you will sitting there overthinking, overanalyzing, where do I start, blah, blah, blah. And then 2 years down the road, you haven't done it yet. So I would just say that start where you are today and just move. Take action, move. You will learn as you go and you will build it as you go. You will be the one to write the how I did it manual on your dream business and your dream lifestyle. No one else can write it but you, and you're going to be the one to write it.
Yes. And the other piece of that is it's not too saturated out there. We need your voice. We need your experience. We need your story. It's knowing what you want, taking inspired action for that. And for everybody listening to, I want to offer the opportunity to book a vision and values audit with me, because I want to make sure this community is moving forward with focus, vision, and alignment. And this audit's a really great way to get clarity on where you are now, where you're going. And you'll leave the call understanding the gaps, knowing how to create a plan to change your life, your business, and show up as that braver version of you and achieve those goals that you have on your heart. You are invited to come chat with Jana and myself at any time. And we're going to leave all the information in the show notes so that you can have that wonderful start to your experience for that personal transformation. So thanks everyone for hanging out with us today, and we will catch you in the next episode.